The member for McMahon.
Thanks very much, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Treasurer. Treasurer, Australian workers pay $176 billion in tax every year, but ATO data reveals 1 in 4 public and foreign companies earning over $100 million in Australia pay no tax at all. Why is the Treasurer determined to hit workers with a 15% GST, which will put up the cost of everything, instead of making large corporations just pay their fair share of tax?
Member for Corangamite will cease interjecting. The Treasurer has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. What will happen over the course of the next couple of years, under what those opposites' proposal is that Australians will pay more tax than income tax, because I've heard nothing from those opposite. Nothing from those opposite was expressed any level of empathy with Australians who are going to pay higher levels of income tax into the future. So those Australians who work every day, I haven't heard the argument of compensation for people who work every day and will have to pay higher taxes. But I come back to the issue that the member has raised.
Manager of Opposition Business and the
member has raised. Last year, in this place, we passed the multinational anti-avoidance tax legislation. That's what we passed. Legislation that makes multinationals pay tax on the income they earn in this country. Now, you would think, Mr Speaker, that those who have gas-bagged about
member
this
for Sydney
so long
has been warned.
Supported
member
that
for Sydney will cease interjecting.
They voted against laws in this place to make multinationals pay their fair share of tax. Legislation that was going to double the penalties, and has. And this went into force on the 1st of January, despite the fact that those opposite voted against new laws in this country that crack down on multinational tax avoidance. And the reason for that, Mr Speaker, is because the member from Canberra, the Shadow Assistant Treasurer, wants to follow his pet project of some system which is going to punish overseas investors for investing in infrastructure in this country. And the Treasury advises the government is a bad idea and it'll cost jobs and growth. So what we did, Mr Speaker, is we worked with the international organisations for years. We worked with them and we got ahead of the curve and we put legislation in this parliament to make sure multinationals pay their tax in this country. And as a result, the 30 companies we were looking at last year, Mr Speaker, is now 80. It's now 80, more than doubled because of the laws that were passed by this government and were opposed by the Labor Party in this place and in the other place, Mr Speaker. When it comes to the next election, Mr Speaker,
the member for Herbert,
the Australian people will look through the veneer of the statements being made by those opposite, and they'll see the lettuce economics of those opposite, Mr Speaker, the lettuce economics of higher taxes, higher spending, more borrowing, and just an absolute smokescreen and a puff of wind when it comes to these things they say they are so concerned about. When it came to actually voting for something that would enforce the law in this country and make multinationals pay their fair share of tax, they turned to absolute lettuce.